Bombshell news that you're not going to hear anywhere else in the story of the OnlyFans model turned murderer. But was it murder or was it self-defense? That's the big question. This is Courtney Tailor right here, aka Courtney Clenny. She goes by Courtney Tailor on her OnlyFans profile, which is very popular, and her Instagram, which is even more popular. And she was in her luxury high-rise apartment with her boyfriend, Toby Obumseli. Now, Toby Obumseli is dead, and everybody is asking, how could this happen? You see, Courtney Tailor is huge on Instagram. She posts fashion photos, all sorts of sexy pictures, and all sorts of modeling photos that she's posted over the years to build up a huge following. She then monetized that even more with her OnlyFans. And I'll even tell you how much she was paying for her apartment in just a moment, because that is going to come into play here. Lots of bombshells as we go along. Here in this footage from TMZ that many people have seen, you can see Courtney Tailor as somebody from a balcony across the street records her. You can also see blood on her chest and on her body. This is presumably the blood of Toby Obumseli, the guy she was in a relationship with. And they've been known to fight, and people in their building had talked about them getting in altercations. In fact, they dialed 911 on numerous occasions when violence had broken out. But you can very clearly see that she's in a troubled state here and that her body is indeed covered in some blood. Some of the background details before we get into these bombshells one by one. First of all, an OnlyFans model and influencer, Courtney Tailor, stands accused of allegedly killing her boyfriend in Miami. And now her Instagram offers chilling details about the weeks before the terrifying incident. Tailor, who, as I told you, her real name is Courtney Clenny, is said to have stabbed Christian Obumseli to death at their Miami apartment, according to police. We're also going to tour that apartment in just a moment. Police responded to a 911 call from Clenny on April 3rd, 2022. This news just coming out, even though this occurred back on April 3rd. They found her boyfriend stabbed once in the shoulder. First responders took Obumseli, 27, to a nearby hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. To the police statement, this is the official statement from Miami PD about this incident. On Sunday, officers responded to an incident, a domestic violence call involving a stabbing. So now we have domestic violence in the picture. Upon arriving, officers located a 27-year-old man, and that is Mr. Obumseli, who was suffering from an apparent knife wound. A female was located on the scene and interviewed by detectives. They transported Obumseli to the Jackson Memorial Hospital's Ryder Trauma Center, where he succumbed to his injury. Homicide detectives, in conjunction with the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office and the medical examiner, are investigating. There have been no charges as of the time this video goes live on this particular woman, Courtney Tailor. Some of the first video that emerged was from Because Miami, and you can see, again, they're filming from across the way. You see, that's the ambulance that Mr. Obumseli's body was in as it was loaded and headed off to the hospital. And you can see that right there is their apartment building. And you can see the police already speaking with her at this point in time when it was still night, when the call initially came through. Also, a witness tells Because Miami there was blood all over the valet, and he was bleeding out next to a $300,000 Rolls-Royce SUV. There was a bloody murder with loud screams and blood everywhere. Neighbors said they have a long history of domestic violence. She called the police at least 7 times in the last month. And this is an elevator notice for all of the people in the building about a domestic altercation that took place in the building. But who was the abuser? Did she abuse him or did he abuse her? Was this self-defense in the case of Courtney Tailor stabbing to death her boyfriend? Let's listen into her and his friends right here.
We've seen from, our eyes back when they were in Austin, multiple red flags, multiple situations, occurrences that it has got violent on her end.
Her friend says she doesn't think it was self-defense.
We feel like she should just be honest, because we know the honest truth is that Christian would never put her in a position for her to stab him. And
that's even her friend who's saying this. Christian would never put her in a position for her to stab him. The possible reason why all this went down in just a moment, but let's listen into this neighbor in their building.
One neighbor who tells me that he has a very clear view of the couple's apartment said a week before the stabbing, things were off and that Clenny was the one getting physically abused.
I could not tell if it was open-handed or closed-handed. but he was swinging at her.
Police say in the past 3 months, they've responded to multiple disturbance calls at the couple's apartment. Their mutual friends are still trying to process what went.
So they said they saw him being violent with her. We now have accusations on both sides here. We also know from the Miami Herald, the couple had apparently broken up last month, with Clenny's mother visiting to help her daughter. She said she was afraid of leaving her apartment because Obumseli kept trying to find ways into the building and sleeping in common areas, multiple sources said. Then on Friday, April 1st, Miami police were called to the apartment because of a domestic dispute. Miami police officers noticed bruises on Clenny's arms and legs. Law enforcement sources told the Miami Herald. No arrests were made at that time. This is more evidence, perhaps, that they're getting physical and that he is getting physical with her in this situation. Here she is. This was just a few days before she fatally stabbed her boyfriend on a podcast called We in Miami. Let's get some insight into who Courtney Tailor actually
is. Courtney Tailor, and I do OF for a living.
OnlyFans. You got like 1 million followers or something?
2 million.
Damn. Yeah. You look like the type of girl that only dates like rich guys. Is that true?
No, that's not true. I only date black guys. Especially black guys. Let me clarify. I only date rich black guys.
Rich black guys. There we go. And you know you're toxic.
Yeah.
You can tell she like black guys.
So these are the highlights of this interview with her and about 1 million other people, it would seem, who are part of this conversation. And she talks a little bit more about who she is and what she's into.
Especially black guys, for all you watching out. I'm with it. Do you like to be fully controlled, or do you?
I like to be submissive. Yeah, in the bedroom. Yes. But like in my life, I don't like anybody to tell me what to do.
Yeah, so you only want them to tell you what to do in the bedroom. Other than that, you don't want them to tell you anything.
Right.
There she is talking to this, again, We in Miami podcast. Here is their apartment building. This really upbeat promo video of one of the apartments that's in the very same building where this incident took place shows it's a modern Miami, very typical Miami apartment that the two shared. And again, I'm going to show you something in just a moment that could change everything. But this is one of these apartments, and you see they have big ocean views. It's pretty open. The places aren't huge because it's in a high rise and it's in downtown Miami, so you're kind of on top of each other when you're living with one another, which is very explosive for relationships where things don't go very well between the two of you. You can see right there the balcony area and the rooms. This is just a tour overall of the room. This is their exact unit, number 2201, where this took place. This is their place inside this building. And I bring that up for this particular reason. This lawsuit is definitely of note, okay? This is the owner of the building, Aleros Capital Investments, versus Courtney Tailor Clenny, all right? That's who they're suing. That's the woman who is at the center of all of this. And they allege that she hasn't paid her rent in months. They said the defendant originally took possession of a unit on or about January 1st, 2022, pursuant to a written one-year lease for a monthly rent of $10,000. $10,000. And they said defendant has failed to pay the monthly rent for the month of March. Could it have been that prompted one of the fights, the arguments between the two of these folks, between Courtney Tailor and Toby Obumseli? Possibly. We also know that they went through that breakup. I think the detail from the Miami Herald is very important, and that the daughter told her mom she was afraid to leave the apartment. But friends of his have nothing but good things to say about him. They don't believe there's any chance that he had anything to do with this. What do you think happened? Who do you think is responsible for this? And do you think charges should be filed against Courtney Tailor, OnlyFans star, Instagram star, and now murderer? Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Facebook.com/The News Junkie. Hit the follow button over there. YouTube.com/The News Junkie. Hit subscribe for videos like this all week long. Appreciate you watching. As always, I'll interact with you in the comments, and we'll talk to you again real soon.